Welcome back to the Napa County Office of Education Prevention Health and Wellness video presentation of the Stanford Tobacco Toolkit. This is the second video where we will be looking at how e-cigarette use can lead to nicotine addiction. Juul Labs claims that it designed their product for adults who wanted to quit smoking cigarettes. Let's just say, however, they were interested in attracting new non-smoker customers, aka young people. They simply studied how cigarette companies spent decades manipulating nicotine to maintain addiction. As it happens, Juul's nicotine salt formula mimics the nicotine salt additives developed by R.J. Reynolds, the creator of Newport and Camel. In other words, this reduced the harshness on the throat and allowed Juul to deliver more nicotine to young people without their bodies rejecting it as easily. The flavors also make it seem friendly to young people, and the attractive design can make it seem non-threatening. If you don't know, a standard pack of cigarettes contains 20 cigarettes. There's 1 milligram of nicotine absorbed per cigarette, so about 20 milligrams of nicotine is delivered to the body from a whole pack of cigarettes. Unlike e-juices, which may or may not contain nicotine, you have to remember that all salt-based e-juice does contain nicotine. And according to Juul Labs, 1 Juul pod contains 41.3 milligrams of nicotine. This is equal to the amount of nicotine you'll find in 40 cigarettes. So how many packs of cigarettes would a Juul pod then be equal to? The answer is about 2 packs. As mentioned before, this is a high amount of nicotine and can be intense for first-time users. Our concern is that young people are being introduced to high amounts of nicotine, developing tolerance quickly, and becoming addicted as a result. 1 puff bar contains 50 milligrams of nicotine, which is equal to about 50 cigarettes. How many packs of cigarettes would a puff bar then be equal to? The answer is 2.5 packs. 1 Soren cartridge contains up to 90 milligrams of nicotine, or 90 cigarettes. That's about equal to 4.5 packs. No matter what pod device someone is using, all of them contain high levels of nicotine, which is extremely addictive, which keeps the user coming back for more. In order to understand how nicotine is so good at creating addiction, we must look at how it takes advantage of our brains. Nicotine mimics a chemical that our brains produce naturally, and it easily binds to the receptors in the brain that are made for that chemical. When those receptors get filled, it sets off a chain reaction that leads the brain to feel pleasure. Pleasure is necessary for survival because it encourages us to do activities that keep us alive, like eating, sleeping, and building relationships. However, no matter what kind of device it comes from, nicotine hijacks the pleasure pathway and tricks the brain into interpreting the chemical signal as pleasurable and necessary for survival. Continuing to use nicotine in any form will result in an addiction. This means that nicotine turns your brain against you so that you feel forced to keep using nicotine just to feel normal. Keep in mind, this effect is no accident. Companies specifically design their products to deliver high levels of nicotine to their users, just like the big tobacco did for cigarettes. Nicotine doesn't just have an effect on your brain, though, since these acetylcholine receptors are all over your body. For example, using nicotine can make your heart beat faster because it activates your fight or flight response. Nicotine salt e-liquids produce a faster heart rate than other non-nicotine salt e-liquids. And outside of all the chemicals and toxins already in the pod-based e-cigarettes, nicotine can independently cause trouble breathing, damage to the lungs, increase acid reflux, and it can even negatively impact your reproductive organs. Thank you for watching part 2 of this 4-part video series. For support with quitting smoking or vaping, visit smokefree.gov or call the California Smokers Helpline at 1-800-NO-BUTS. To access this presentation and the sources in it, visit tobaccopreventiontoolkit.stanford.edu.